everyone. It's Miss Angela from the Fort Worth Public Library. Welcome back to another Fort Worth Nature Center Discovery Club story time. Today we are talking about ants. Now, I don't like getting bitten by ants. I don't think anybody does, but I do like to watch them. Aren't they cool? And they're so strong. The word ant starts with the letter A. Do you see a big letter A here? There's one on my shirt. A big letter A. A for amazing. And a big R for reader. It says amazing reader. Our song today is one that you might know. It's The Ants Go Marching One by One. So I'm going to ask you to sing along with me and to do the movements. Are you ready? Let's go. So we're going to march along. We're going to put up our fingers to show what number we're on. We're going to say hurrah by lifting our hands above our heads. And then we're going to march down to the ground to get out of the rain. And then we say boom, boom, boom. We're going to march back up. Okay. The ants go marching one by one, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching one by one, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching one by one. The little one stops to suck his thumb. And they all go marching down to the ground to get out of the rain. Boom, 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 boom. The ants go marching two by two, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching two by two, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching two by two. The little one stops to tie her shoe. And they all go marching down to the ground to get out of the rain. Boom, 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 boom. The ants go marching three by three, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching three by three, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching three by three. The little one stops to climb a tree. And they all go marching down to the ground to get out of the rain. Boom, 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 boom. The ants go marching four by four, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching four by four, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching four by four. The little one stops to close the door. And they all go marching down to the ground to get out of the rain. Boom, 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 boom. The ants go marching five by five, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching five by five, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching five by five. The little one stops to take a dive. Splash! And they all go marching down to the ground to get out of the rain. Boom, 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 boom. Whew! That's a lot of marching. Good job, everyone. Our story today comes from people who live in the eastern part of India and the neighboring countries of Nepal and Bangladesh. They are called Santal. This story is called The Elephant and the Ants.
In the days of old, an elephant was walking through the jungle wherever it pleased, not looking down before it took each step with its giant elephant feet. The elephant heard a cry and looked down to see a red ant and a black ant, carrying leaves to take back to their colonies. "You almost trampled us," said the black ant. "Well, you should stay out of my way," said the elephant. "I am the biggest and strongest and best animal in the jungle." The red ant said, "You may be the biggest and the strongest, but I bet we could beat you in a race." "Impossible," said the elephant. "How about this?" said the red ant. "If we beat you in a race, you promise to walk more carefully through the jungle." "As you have no chance of beating me," said the elephant, "I accept." 3, 2, 1, go! shouted the black ant. The elephant set off running. The elephant ran as fast as it could until it started to get tired. The elephant looked down and saw 2 ants. So the elephant started off again, and when it felt like it couldn't run any more, it looked down and there were 2 ants. It ran on again and again, but wherever it stopped, it saw 2 ants. At last the elephant sank down in exhaustion. It saw a black ant and a red ant, and in between huffings and puffings said, "I promise to walk through the jungle more carefully from now on. You have won the race."
Now, it is a saying that there are more ants in the world than any other kind of creature. And what happened was that the first two ants never left. They stayed exactly where they were. But every time the elephant looked down, it saw another pair of ants and thought that it was the first two. We all have different things that make us special. And while the elephant was large and strong, the ants were clever. And in the end, the elephant promised to walk more carefully through the jungle. And so the elephant also became more thoughtful. The end. Now I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Michael at the Nature Center to tell you more about ants. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Good morning, everyone. This is Michael Perez with the Fort Worth Nature Center and Refuge. Welcome to Discovery Club this week, and I hope everyone's having a great morning. I want to thank Miss Angela with the Fort Worth Public Library for that story time. Really appreciate you setting up our time with those wonderful stories and songs and so forth. So thanks again. Now, we will be talking about ants today, and we're going to talk a little bit about what an ant is. We'll talk about some of the roles that ants play in their colony where they live, and we'll talk about the benefits. Why are ants so important? I know some of us, especially summertime, we may get ants in our houses, or if we leave some food around, say a picnic table, it may attract some ants and so forth, and we're like, oh, you ants, you're eating my food or invading my house, and may not be seen in a positive way. However, in the wild, at your local park, here at the Nature Center and so forth, they're actually, and in your backyard as well, serving a great role in those different areas, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So we'll talk about those different things, and then I want to transition and show you some photos of ants and performing daily duties and things like that. And then the last thing I want to do is share an experiment I did yesterday with ants, and we'll talk more about that as we finish our lesson time. So let's go ahead and get started with that and talk about what an ant is. Now, a couple weeks ago we talked about spiders, and we realized that spiders are not insects, they're arachnids. Well, ants are insects. So let's talk about insects and what makes an insect, if you will. So I have this copy of an ant, a body of an ant. So I have the different body parts colored, and we'll talk about each. Now, first of all, ants are insects, and an insect is an animal that has 3 body parts. So I have 3 body parts colored here in blue, purple, and green. So in blue at the very front, we have the head. So the head is the first part of an insect. The next part is that middle part, which is purple, which where the legs are attached to. And that purple part is called a thorax. Can you say thorax? Yeah, much easier than cephalothorax that we learned about with spiders. So we have a head, a thorax, and the last part, very similar to the arachnids, is an abdomen. Can you say abdomen? Super. So that's what makes an insect an insect. Well, part of it, having 3 body parts. Now, I colored a couple other body parts that are important. Attached to the head are antennae. So those allow it to feel and sense around it. And that's attached to the head, the antenna. And legs, they have 6 legs. So insects have 6 legs as opposed to 8, which arachnids had, the spiders. So they have 6 legs, and they're all attached to the thorax. So that, real simply put, is the body of an insect. Has 3 body parts, a head, thorax, abdomen. Has 6 legs, which are attached to the abdomen, and an antenna that are attached to the head. So those are the different body parts and components to what makes an ant an insect. All right? So now let's talk a little bit about the roles that these insects, these ants, play within their colony. A colony is kind of their nest, or the area in which they live. And there are many different roles. Just like you at your house, imagine your house as an ant mound, ant nest, if you will. And there's, in your house, much like the ants, there are different individual or roles in that colony. Like at your home, there may be chores you have, responsibilities that help your mom and your dad around the house, such as doing the dishes, sorting the laundry, sweeping, mopping, whatever the case is. You have a role there at the house, and your role helps everybody else make sure that that colony or that house is nice and orderly. Well, the same thing is true about ants. They all have different roles. So some of the different types of ants we have in a colony, we'll start off with the queen. The queen, she's larger of all the ants that are in that colony, and her job is to lay eggs, so she can continue the colony and having many more of the workers to help maintain the colony. Or she may even move on and start a new colony somewhere, because there could be multiple queens in one colony. So you also have soldier ants, in the sense that they attack potential enemies, they guard the mound, protect the queen, things like that. So that's a very important role, to have that protection and be the protector of a colony. Just like at our houses, we may have alarms that help protect the house and so forth. And then also there are worker ants. Those are ants that help take care of the larvae, the young ants before they're born. Also, they may go find food. They may bring food in. They may help tidy up the colony by pulling out soil out of the colony and depositing and building their mound. Much like you, maybe babysitting, helping your mom and dad take care of your younger brother or sister, making lunches, making your rooms up, making your bed. So you can kind of see the correlation. You're like a worker ant too. You're helping maintain your house, just like these ants are maintaining their colony as well. So there are many, many roles, and everybody's dependent on each other. Those worker ants, they communicate and they work together as one unit in order to make sure their colony is well taken care of. Much like you probably at your house, helping your parents take care of the house and so forth. So we talked about what an ant is. It is an insect that has 3 body parts: a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. They have 6 legs and some antennae too. So we talked about what it is. We talked about some of the roles, like protecting it, bringing in food, and tidying up the colony. So there's lots of roles and jobs in a colony. Now, one of the most important things I tried to discuss when we have Discovery Club are the importance of, the benefits of. In the case of this week, the importance of ants. Now, ants play an important role in our backyards and nature centers, parks, and so forth. One of the things that they can do to help my gardens and the plants around them is by distributing or moving nutrients. Okay, and also along with that, they aerate, or they turn the soil. I guess is another way of saying they turn the soil around by they're moving around, building tunnels. And when they move the soil around, it creates little pockets, little openings, so that water can go down in there, reach the plants. Also, oxygen can go down and reach the plants as well. So turning the soil, and as they move, they're redistributing, moving those nutrients around, because they'll bring food into the colony, right? You feed food in your house, and sometimes that food, they utilize the food to help them survive. But sometimes, just like us, we don't eat everything. We have to, maybe we left something in the fridge, stayed too long. Well, same thing with them. They may leave some food there and it gets left, but that's good because it actually builds up organic matter for the colony, and that's really good, and that provides nutrients. They can disperse seeds. You can see a photo of some ants moving seed. So that's one thing they can do, is they move seed. It gets planted somewhere else, and spreads that seed or that flower, that plant. So they're spreading seeds. And then the last 2 things I want to talk about are they prey on pests like termites and ticks, things that we don't desire very much. So they get rid of pests for us, and that's really important. And kind of along those same lines, that allows them to participate and be involved with the food web. as both a predator going to eat the ticks and the termites and so forth, butterflies and moths and all those things, and those are not pests. But also they're food for other animals, as we will see in another photo that I provide a little bit later. But they are food for other animals. So they're part of the food web and keep things kind of going in a cycle. And that's very, very important. So we talked about what an ant is. It's an insect. We talked about the roles that ants play in their colonies. And we talked about the benefits of having ants, such as allowing for water and oxygen to get the plants, being part of the food web, both as a food source for other animals and them controlling other populations of animals, smaller animals such as butterflies, moths, ticks, termites, and things like that. So we're going to transition now, as we do usually with our Discovery Club. I have some photos I want to show you. You'll see photos depicting that food web. You'll see photos depicting those daily responsibilities that we have talked about a little bit earlier, just kind of touching on those. And before I show you those photos, I want to also thank Dr. Ann Mayo with Weatherford College. She actually allowed us permission to use these photos to share with you. She really was really excited about sharing these photos so you can learn from them. So she did a research project out here at the Nature Center studying Comanche harvester ants, and she took a lot of photos when she was doing her research out here, and she was so excited to share those photos with you. So thank you, Dr. Mayo, for allowing us to use these photos. So check these photos out and learn a little bit more about the daily operations of a colony of ants. This photo shows Comanche harvester ants on their mound. It looks like chaos, but they're actually doing many things, such as bringing soil out from the nest, building the nest, monitoring what is going on outside, and going out to look for food and coming back with food. In the image before, we showed you Comanche harvester ants looking for food and coming back with food. In this photo, several Comanche harvester ants are bringing back a caterpillar for food. This is called group retrieval. Ants don't just look for insects and caterpillars, they look for other things, such as seeds. Here's some ants bringing in a large seed. Here's an image of an ant bringing in a really long seed. Even though their food may seem too big for the ants, they can find ways to grab hold and bring it home. Look at this image and tell me some differences you see between the ants. Look closely. Yeah, you see some black ants and then some reddish ants as well. Oh yeah, also notice that some ants in this image have wings. So the black ant that you see is the male. He's much thinner than the red ant, which is the female. And they develop wings so they can fly off and start new colonies. The image before, we showed you some ants with some wings. These are very important to allow an ant to fly off and start a new colony somewhere. So the ant in this picture is climbing to a tall plant high up so they can get a good breeze to help them fly off to their new area. This is a female, as I said before in the last image, because she's red. Also notice the thorax part of her body, how large it is. She has to have really strong flight muscles in order for her to fly to a new area to start a new colony. Now, ants aren't the only animals looking for food. Fortunately, they become part of the food web. Here we have a photo of a black widow spider who has built her web just above a Comanche harvester ant nest. She'll snag the ants that are near and bring them back up to her web to eat them. Here she has caught an ant and is injecting it with venom to paralyze it. So ants have to be mindful of all the other animals around them because they can be food too. Ants are very hard workers. If you come across a mound, you'll see them actively moving around, doing lots of kinds of work. In this image, this ant has soil in her jaws. She is digging the nest, and here she is removing the soil she has dug up. You get a nice view of the spread mandibles or the jaws with this picture here. Very helpful whenever they're removing soil and doing other forms of work. This is not a mound from a Comanche harvester ant. However, in the previous image, we showed you a female bringing soil up from the tunnel as she performed some work around her mound. Now ants make all sorts of types of mounds. This one here is tall, it's very sloped up like a mountain compared to the size of the ant. And then other ants, they're flat on the ground. So pay attention around your yard and local park and see what kind of ant mounds you can find. I'm just kidding. Here's a video in slow motion of some ants performing some daily duties, such as looking for food, bringing soil out of their tunnel to clean it out and build mounds, and so forth. Thought it'd be fun to watch them walk in slow motion. So with all those photos there, we got to see a lot of up-close footage of ants working and bringing in food or working in their tunnels, bringing soil out. So hopefully you enjoyed those images. And once again, thank you, Dr. Mayo, for those photos. Now, let's talk about our experiment. I did an experiment this week where I had a plate, just a regular paper plate, and I drew off 4 sections, and I labeled each one and put the food in those sections. The 4 sections I had are fruit, veggies, chocolate, and peanut butter. So I want you to think, use your head and think really hard and say, think like an ant, I guess. What would be the food that I would desire? What would be the first food that I go after? And think about what an ant would do. So take a minute, real quick, and pick your source of food. Whether it be chocolate, fruit, veggies, or peanut butter. All right, so you got that food in your mind. So now we're gonna play a video and we're gonna see what the ants chose first. What was their favorite food? So I have just a plate there before any ants got on it, and then I checked every 15 minutes up to an hour. So I'll show you every 15-minute video. Well, it's not gonna be a 15-minute video, but I'll show you from every 15 minutes what that plate looked like. And we're gonna see what the ants prefer. So tune in. We're gonna try an experiment and see what ants prefer. So I have a plate here divided in 4 pieces. I have fruit, chocolate, veggies, and peanut butter. We know ants go for certain types of food, so we're going to see which of these ants around our area, what they liked first. So I want you to think about which do you think the ants are going to go for first, or the most rather. Veggies, fruit, peanut butter, or chocolate. We're going to check back in 15 minutes and let's see where the ants are feasting on. So make your guesses. Okay, it has been 15 minutes and I'm starting to see a line of ants come to our food. They're kind of gathering here. It is a little cool. It's not warm like yesterday, so they're not as active. But I'm noticing right now they're starting to gather on the plate. Most of them, or not most, but some of the ants are walking along, sniffing the peanut butter. There's an ant on the fruit section. Not any on the chocolate or the veggies. So right now, they're interested in the peanut butter. Once again, this is 15 minutes from the last time, or when we first put the plate out. So far, if you pick peanut butter, you're in the lead. But we're going to check back in another 15 minutes and see where the ants are. Here we are again, looking at our tray, and it's no doubt what the ants are wanting. Some protein from the peanut butter is the most desirable form of food. We have one lone guy trying to eat some on a green pea or bean. Well, now he wants some peanut butter. Chocolate. No chocolate. And the sweetness from these peaches have attracted a couple ants. So again, this is 15 minutes later, so total time from the time we put the plate down to now has been 1/2 hour. So we'll try another 15 minutes and see what it looks like then. Now we've added another 15 minutes, so this has been 45 minutes since we've started. And what we're noticing is peanut butter for sure. I like how this little guy here has grabbed the chocolate. There's a couple people on chocolate now because there's no room for peanut butter. And he's grabbing the chocolate. And he's dragging it. He's going to bring it to the colony. And this just goes to show ants are very strong. And a lot of teamwork too. There's a couple ants here that are dragging that chocolate around. But overall, looking at peanut butter, the fruit is pretty much just wasting away. And the veggies, more ants around, but still not very much. They're wanting the protein. They're wanting that peanut butter. We'll check back in for one last time in 15 minutes and see what it looks like then. Alright, this is our last visit to our paper plate with all the food choices. And I am going to declare the peanut butter group the winner. They're all over the peanut butter. At the same time, chocolate is in second place. If you notice, they've pretty much moved all the chocolate. They moved it under this rock here, and they've been pulling it off the plate, taking it to their colony as well. So chocolate and peanut butter are definitely the most preferred. Veggies are second, particularly corn. And peaches, well, they're not really interested in peaches. So, even though they're sweet. So, the winner is peanut butter. If you chose peanut butter, you won. Chocolate, you won too. Because they moved it as well. So, pretty close. So, that's our experiment. And hopefully you enjoyed this. And also got a quick glimpse of the teamwork involved in an ant colony. As well as the proof of their power, how they move things, because that's a large piece of chocolate that they're dragging around. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed that little experiment. And that concludes our Discovery Club for this week. So thank you for tuning in and learning a little bit about ants and getting more appreciation about them, and also participating in our experiment. And experiments are fun because we pose the question, and through the experiment and the process, we find out an answer, and then that's really cool. So I encourage you all to think about some experiments and things that you want to know about, and perform them out and find out what the results are. Very, very fun. So again, thank you for tuning in. I want to give one final thank you to Miss Angela at the Fort Worth Public Library, and once again Dr. Mayo at Weatherford College for their involvement with this week's edition of Discovery Club. I hope y'all have a good rest of the day, and we'll see y'all next week with Discovery Club. Bye-bye, guys.